Now that the installation of Android Studio and SDK components is complete, let's create our first project in Android Studio. On the first screen, click on Start a new Android Studio project. From the Choose Your Project screen that comes up, select the option Empty Activity and click on Next. In the Configure Your Project screen, put the application name as Activity Lifecycle. Now before we proceed, let's understand what all these things on the screen mean. So here we have the name, which is the name of the app that will be displayed on your phone when we will make and run our Android app. We can change this name later too. Then we have this package name. Now if you see here, the package name has the company's domain name in reverse order. So it says here com.example instead of example.com. Let's change this to com.internshala. Then it has this dot and then the name of the application. This is the same name we have given in the name section above. So when we build an Android application, it gets created inside a package. This package is unique for all Android applications. So make sure you put a unique package name here. Now since most of you will not have a domain, you can simply write your name here instead of the name of a domain. For example, you may write com.sneha or com.john. It need not be a real domain as of now. What the package name does is that it helps in grouping all the files of the application under one package name or organization name, which will help you when you upload your app to Play Store. And this is the reason that this package name has to be unique, so that the operating system can identify it as a unique application. For example, Google has two applications, YouTube and Gmail. The package name for each would look like this. You can see that even though the domain name is the same, the application name is different and hence the package name becomes unique. This is also helpful when you have multiple applications under the same domain. In that case, Play Store will group all the applications for the same domain together. For example, when we search for Google on Play Store, all the apps created by Google will appear in the results. Now let's go to this next Save Location section. This gives the location where the project will be saved on our system. Then we have this language section, which is the language that we will use to code the functionality of the application. We will keep it as Kotlin only. Next, we have the minimum API level section. Now, this is the minimum or the oldest version of Android on which your app can run. You can choose different versions here to see the percentage of devices that are currently running on that particular version. For example, if we choose ice cream sandwich, we can see that almost 100% of devices will support our app. So this might seem like the best choice for us, but it has its cons too. Creating an app that is supported by older devices can be a bit challenging since the development code has evolved and we might have to code differently for different devices. Hence, we try to have a minimum API that is supported by a maximum number of devices, but that also supports the latest code practices. And therefore, we will choose the API 18 that is supported by approximately 96% devices. We recommend you to choose the same for this training. Now below this, we have two checkboxes. The first one says the project will support instant apps and the second says use Android X artifacts. These two concepts are very complicated for beginners and we will not be explaining them in this training. Let's keep them as it is. Now click on Finish. Now this window will open up. As you can see that some processes are running here. Please let them run and make sure your system has a proper internet connection. Now, the reason we are stressing on having a stable internet connection is because to make an app, the Android Studio requires a lot of tools and libraries, and they cannot all be downloaded with the SDK, and hence they are synced while creating every new Android project. Also, these are one-time processes, and once they are all downloaded in the computer, they are stored in the cache memory and used from there. So make sure that every time you create a new Android project in your Android Studio, your system is connected to a good internet connection. For the first few times, this process could take somewhere between 5 to 15 minutes for each project. But once this process takes place, the rest of the project work will go smooth and fast. If your computer has a RAM of 4 GB and below, it may take more than 15 minutes. You can take a little break while Android Studio builds this project for you. Did we say build? Yes, this process is known as building a project. Make sure you don't interrupt the build process. Once this is done, here are a few things that you should check to make sure your build process was successful. The first thing that we need to check here is that here, if you see, there are all green ticks. If there is ever a red mark here, it would mean that something went wrong. Kindly go to the forum and reach out to our instructors if a red mark ever appears here. And always remember, red means error. The second thing you need to check is this section. Now, as you can see here, some processes are still going on. This indexing means processes in this case. So if any processes are still going on here, it means that the Android project is not yet ready to use. Wait till all the processes are over and there is nothing going on here. Once this is done, the screen will come up. Now, as you can see, it has a lot of code. This means that the build process is over and the Android project is ready to use. Well, this code that you see here is actually a small Android app which will successfully run on your mobile phones. Yes, that's the beauty of Android Studio. Whenever we create a new project in the studio, it always creates an Android app for us. We can now do different things in this app. If you see here, this is the main activity.kt file. This is the file where we will write our Kotlin code. And this activity_main.xml file will be used to write the XML code. Alright then, that was all for this video. In the next video, we will take a tour of the Android Studio.